Using bad genetics as an excuse won't change your reality. Success doesn't depend on the DNA you were born with. It depends on your effort. You can't pay rent with complaints about your genetics. You can't build a legacy by pointing fingers at circumstances you can't control. What you can do is focus on what's within your power, your discipline, your habits, your choices. That's where success begins. Success doesn't discriminate based on genetics. It rewards those who refuse to give up no matter what limitations they face. Life is unfair, but that's no reason to quit. Blaming your DNA might feel justified, but it won't move you forward. The rent is still due, the struggles don't pause, and the world keeps moving. Winners are the ones who adapt, outwork their excuses, and keep climbing when the odds are stacked against them. Effort defeats excuses every time. While you're stuck lamenting bad genetics, someone with worse challenges is putting in the work to succeed. Success comes to those who outwork their problems and rise above their obstacles, not those who dwell on reasons why they can't. Excuses are the easiest way to stay stuck. Hard work is the only way to break free. The choice to fight or fold is yours alone. Rent, bills, deadlines, and responsibilities won't stop coming because you were handed a tougher deck of cards. Success doesn't wait for excuses. It demands action, grit, and adaptability. Your genetics don't determine your future. Your effort does. You can either blame biology for your struggles or prove that resilience is stronger than any excuse. There are no guarantees, but there's no limit to what effort can achieve. When you use bad genetics as an excuse, you're handing over control of your life to circumstances you can't change. That excuse won't lift you up. It will hold you back, stealing opportunities for growth and progress. The strongest people aren't the ones born with the easiest conditions. They're the ones who refuse to let their limits define them. Rise above your challenges and prove to yourself that excuses don't define you. Effort does. Your genetics might make the climb steeper, but they can't stop you from reaching the summit. Every step forward is proof that excuses are just barriers you can choose to break through. The world is full of people with perfect genetics who quit and people with the worst odds who succeed. It's not about where you start, it's about how you finish. The only way to rewrite your story is to put in the work, one step at a time. Life doesn't pause for your complaints. Every moment spent blaming bad genetics is a moment stolen from progress. Focus on the things you can control, your actions, your mindset, your resilience. Excuses keep you stuck. Effort builds momentum. No one is coming to save you or rewrite the story for you. The sooner you take ownership of your struggles and refuse to quit, the sooner you'll see results. Bad genetics might be real, but they're not the reason you're stuck. Excuses are. Every time you blame your biology, you're giving yourself permission to quit. Effort rewrites limitations, proving that obstacles can become opportunities with the right perspective. Your success won't come from what you inherit, it will come from what you build. Strength, resilience, and discipline are earned, not handed out. Your struggles might be real, but they're not the end of your story. The hardest circumstances often produce the strongest people. Every setback you face is shaping you, building your resilience, and teaching you the lessons you'll need for tomorrow. Don't waste time dwelling on your disadvantages. Focus on finding solutions. You're capable of overcoming more than you think, but only if you choose to fight harder instead of giving up. Excuses are comforting, but they're also dangerous. They keep you stuck, creating a cycle of frustration and inactivity. Your bad genetics excuse might feel justified, but it's stealing time and energy you could spend building your future. Strength doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from facing them head on. The rent is still due, the world keeps moving, and it's your effort, not your excuses, that will move you forward. Blaming bad genetics is like sitting in a sinking boat and refusing to row because the water is rising. The problem is real, but action is your only solution. Your effort, not your excuses, determines your direction. Genetics might affect your starting line, but the finish line belongs to those who refuse to stop. Hard work and resilience will always outlast the limitations you were born with. Your genetics don't hold the power to decide your future. Your mindset does. If you spend your energy focusing on obstacles, you'll never see the opportunities right in front of you. Challenges are inevitable, but progress is optional. The question isn't whether life is fair, it's whether you're willing to fight harder than your circumstances. Bad genetics might explain the struggle, but they will never excuse the failure to try. Success doesn't care about fairness. It rewards those who show up, no matter the odds. Your bad genetics excuse won't pay the rent, it won't open doors, and it won't change your life. Action does. Every excuse you make only delays your progress, while every step you take brings you closer to overcoming. Winners don't wait for an even playing field. They find ways to rise, no matter how steep the climb. When you blame your genetics, you build a prison for your potential. Excuses might feel safe, but they're a trap that keeps you from growing. Progress comes from effort, from trying even when the odds are against you. The strongest people you admire didn't succeed because life was easy. They succeeded because they refused to let adversity win. You have that same choice every single day. Challenges are guaranteed, but growth is earned. Your struggles might feel overwhelming, but they're not the reason to quit. They're the reason to fight harder. Bad genetics is just another hurdle in the race of life, and the only way to cross the finish line is to keep running. No one said it would be easy, but the things worth having rarely are. Effort is the price you pay for a life without regret. Your obstacles don't define you. Your response to them does. Genetics might set the stage, but the performance is up to you. Complaining won't rewrite the script, but action will. The rent doesn't pause for your excuses, and neither does life. The strongest people succeed not because they're free of challenges, but because they face them head-on. Strength is built in the moments you choose effort over excuses. The rent is due, whether your genetics are good or bad. Complaining won't change that, but commitment will. The most successful people understand that their disadvantages are simply part of their story, not the end of it. They don't waste time wishing for an easier path. They find a way to move forward, one step at a time. Every challenge you overcome adds strength to the foundation of your future. Excuses don't build legacies. Effort does. Your bad genetics excuse won't solve your problems or pay your bills, but choosing discipline and consistency will. The truth is, the strongest people in the world are often the ones who started with the weakest circumstances. They didn't have perfect conditions. They had relentless determination. You don't need better genetics to win. You just need to start. Life doesn't ask if you have good genetics before it throws challenges your way. What matters isn't your starting point. It's what you do next. While others blame their circumstances, you have the opportunity to prove that excuses are meaningless in the face of effort. The rent is still due, and the only way to pay it is to show up and do the work, no matter how unfair the odds might seem. Your genetics might make things harder, but they're not the reason to stop trying. Every step forward proves that hard work can overcome almost anything. Excuses keep you stuck, while effort creates momentum. The strongest people in the world weren't born that way. They were shaped by their struggles, forged in the fire of adversity. Your story is still being written, and you hold the pen. Your genetics don't determine your ability to succeed. They might create challenges, but every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Complaining about your circumstances won't pay the rent. It won't change your life. The real change begins when you stop blaming what you were born with and start maximizing your effort. Success comes to those who fight for it, no matter how tough the odds may be. Bad genetics is not the enemy. Excuses are. Every time you tell yourself that your circumstances are to blame, you lose valuable time that could be spent on solutions. The rent is still due. The world keeps moving, and the winners are the ones who refuse to let their limitations define them. Instead, they take control of what they can change and build the future they want, one step at a time. Your excuses don't explain your lack of progress. They create it. Genetics might make your road harder, but they don't make it impossible. What matters isn't how steep the climb is. It's how determined you are to keep moving forward. Every step forward takes you closer to proving that hard work beats excuses every single time. The rent won't wait for your complaints, neither should your goals. Every successful person has faced obstacles, but the strongest didn't waste time blaming their circumstances. They didn't let excuses keep them from trying. If bad genetics is your excuse, it's time to let go of it. Commit to the work, embrace the struggle, and show the world that your determination is stronger than your disadvantages. Success doesn't favor excuses, it rewards effort. Your bad genetics excuse is just a story you've been telling yourself. And every story can be rewritten. If life handed you tougher challenges, it's your job to turn them into opportunities. Excuses are the easy way out, but effort is what shapes greatness. The rent won't pay itself, and excuses won't make progress happen. It's time to stop blaming and start building the life you want. The hardest climbs lead to the best views. Bad genetics might make the climb steeper, but they also make the triumph sweeter. Don't waste time complaining about how hard it is. Use that energy to take the next step forward. Success isn't about how easy your path is. It's about how hard you work to overcome every obstacle in your way. Commit to the work, no matter what. Excuses won't move you forward. They'll keep you stuck. Every minute spent blaming genetics is a minute stolen from growth. Take control of your effort, your mindset, and your habits. Strength doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from facing them head on. Life doesn't wait for fairness, and rent doesn't pause for complaints. Choose effort over excuses, starting now. Success is earned by those who refuse to give up. Your bad genetics excuse might make you feel justified, but it's stealing your potential. Complaining doesn't change your reality. It keeps you stuck in it. The world rewards action, not excuses. It's time to stop blaming what you can't control and start focusing on what you can. Hard work can outperform even the toughest conditions. Your challenges don't define you, your determination does. The people who rise above their struggles aren't the ones waiting for an easier path. They're the ones who take action despite the odds. Bad genetics might shape your challenges, but they can't decide your future. Every step forward is a step closer to proving that resilience beats excuses every time. The rent is still due, and bad genetics is not a valid excuse. Complaining won't pay the bills or move your goals forward. It only wastes time. If your circumstances are tougher, then fight harder. Every successful person has faced obstacles, but the strongest ones made the choice to overcome. Effort is the price of progress, and every step forward proves that excuses don't win. Action does. Your genetics might set the conditions, but they don't decide your destiny. Every successful person faced obstacles, some physical, some mental. But the difference is they didn't let those obstacles become their excuses. Complaining won't reshape your circumstances, but hard work will. Your potential isn't capped by biology. It's revealed through grit, persistence, and unshakable effort. The struggle is real, but so is your ability to rise above it. Your bad genetics might make things harder, but success was never supposed to be easy. Every challenge is a chance to develop strength. Every excuse you let go of is another step forward. The only way to lose is to stop trying. Life doesn't adjust its pace for your complaints. It keeps moving. So should you. The truth is, no one cares about your excuses. The world only responds to results. You can keep blaming your genetics or start proving they don't define you. Excuses won't earn you respect, success, or progress. What will is relentless action, even when it feels like the odds are against you. Your story is only over if you choose to stop writing it. Keep moving forward. Excuses feel good in the moment, but they don't lead anywhere. Your bad genetics excuse might bring temporary comfort, but it won't bring results. Results come from showing up consistently even on the hardest days. It's not about how you start. It's about refusing to quit. Genetics don't define greatness. Grit, discipline, and resilience do. Commit to overcoming, no matter what. The rent is due, and no one's asking if your genetics made life harder. Complaints might feel justified, but they don't pay bills. Success doesn't come to those who wait for perfect circumstances. It comes to those who grind through imperfect ones. Your excuses are a weight. Drop them. Take ownership and rise above the narrative that you're limited by what you were born with. Life's toughest challenges create its strongest individuals. Your bad genetics might be the reason for your struggles, but they're also an opportunity to prove what you're capable of. You can either let limitations define you, or you can let effort redefine them. Every step forward is a choice to grow stronger instead of staying stuck. The work you put in today shapes the success of tomorrow. While others are busy finding excuses, someone with worse circumstances is working harder. They're choosing discipline over doubt. They're showing up for themselves while others complain about what's not fair. Don't let your bad genetics excuse rob you of progress. Take control of your actions, set goals, and start building the future you deserve. You're tougher than you think. Blaming genetics gives the illusion of comfort, but it's just another way to stay stuck. Progress only happens when you take responsibility for your life. Genetics might influence the journey, but they don't control the destination. What defines your success is your ability to keep moving forward, even when the road feels impossible. Effort turns obstacles into stepping stones. No one's going to fight for your success like you will. Your bad genetics excuse is just noise, and noise won't move you closer to your goals. Focus on what matters: your daily habits, your consistency, and your determination to rise above excuses. Every moment spent blaming is a moment wasted. Effort outworks excuses every time. Your circumstances may be tough, but so are you. Your potential is so much greater than you think. Don't let your bad genetics excuse distract you from the fact that progress is possible. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow. Every step forward is a chance to build strength. The rent won't wait, and neither should you. This is your time to prove that limitations can't hold you back. Show the world what relentless effort looks like. The truth is, genetics might make the game harder, but they don't control how you play. Every successful person has faced struggles, some visible, some hidden, but they rose by focusing on effort, not excuses. When you blame your genetics, you're choosing to let challenges win. Fight harder, push through, show yourself, and the world that excuses are powerless in the face of relentless effort. Life doesn't wait for anyone. Rent doesn't pause, bills don't disappear, and opportunities don't sit around waiting for perfect conditions. Your bad genetics excuse might feel valid, but it doesn't change reality. Action is the only way forward. Success doesn't ask about fairness. It favors those who show up, adapt, and keep moving forward when the odds are stacked against them. Excuses are the chains that keep you locked in place. Your bad genetics story doesn't define your future unless you let it. Take a moment to reflect on where you want to be and start fighting for it. Every complaint keeps you further from progress, while every step forward brings you closer to proving that action beats excuses. The only limit is the one you refuse to challenge. It's not about perfect genetics. It's about persistence, discipline, and refusing to quit. The strongest people weren't handed their success. They built it with determination. Your excuses are standing in the way of your potential. Break free from them. If your genetics make things harder, then work harder. The rent is still due, and the only way to make progress is to take ownership of your actions. Your mindset is your greatest weapon. It's stronger than your genetics, tougher than your challenges, and more powerful than any excuse. Focus on what you can control: your habits, your effort, your attitude. The strongest people in the world aren't the ones born with advantages. They're the ones who refuse to stop trying. Your circumstances might be tough, but your determination can outlast them. Success isn't a reward for perfection, it's a reward for persistence. While others complain about their circumstances, someone with worse odds is grinding, showing up, and making progress. Your bad genetics excuse doesn't define you. Your effort does. Don't let obstacles become your identity. Use them as fuel to push harder. The rent won't wait, and neither should your commitment to growth. Complaints are easy, but effort builds character. Your bad genetics excuse might feel comforting, but it's holding you back. Progress begins when you let go of excuses and take responsibility for your journey. Challenges are part of life, but they're also what make triumphs meaningful. Prove to yourself that you're stronger than your circumstances. Start today. Build resilience, step by step. Your success story starts when you stop blaming and start building. Yes, genetics might make the road more difficult, but greatness is born in overcoming difficulty. The rent doesn't care about your excuses, and neither does success. Every successful person faced obstacles, but they didn't let those obstacles define them. Effort beats excuses every time. Your journey is yours to create. Excuses rob you of time and energy. Your bad genetics excuse is a mental block that keeps you from taking action. Instead of focusing on what you can't control, shift your attention to what you can. Hard work, discipline, and consistency have the power to outperform any disadvantage. No one said it would be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. Step into the challenge and prove your excuses wrong. Your limitations don't define you, your decisions do. The strongest people rise above their circumstances, no matter how hard the climb. Your bad genetics might create obstacles, but they also create the opportunity to show what you're truly capable of. Excuses keep you stuck. Effort moves you forward. Rent is still due, and success doesn't wait. Stop complaining and start achieving. Bad genetics doesn't have to be your barrier, it can be your motivation. Turn your disadvantages into the fuel you need to work harder, smarter, and stronger than anyone else. No one's asking how you started, but everyone will see how you finish. Success doesn't stop for excuses. Your rent is still due, and your future won't wait. Take action, no matter the cards you've been dealt. Excuses give you an out, but effort gives you a way forward. Your bad genetics might explain the struggle, but they don't justify giving up. Greatness is built on hard work, not perfect conditions. Whether your challenges are physical, financial, or mental, progress depends on your willingness to fight through them. Prove to yourself that you're capable of far more than your circumstances suggest. Your potential isn't locked in your genetics. It's unlocked through persistence and resilience. Yes, your path might be harder than someone else's, but that only makes the reward more meaningful. You can spend your energy complaining, or you can use it to climb higher. Success waits for no one, and excuses don't make progress. Your rent and your goals require action. Take the next step today. Every complaint you make about your genetics is a step further from your goals. Excuses won't pay your bills, and they won't shape your future. Only effort can do that. Yes, the road might be unfair, but fairness has never been a requirement for progress. Winners adapt, overcome, and keep moving forward, no matter how steep the hill. The rent is still due, so stop complaining and start climbing. Challenges make success sweeter. If bad genetics is your challenge, use it to build strength and resilience. No one becomes great by taking the easy road. Your DNA might make things tougher, but it doesn't close the door to progress. Every day you choose effort over excuses is another day closer to greatness. The rent won't wait, and neither should your commitment to growth. Start where you are. Excuses feel comfortable in the moment, but bring regret in the long run. Your bad genetics might make the climb harder, but every effort you make to rise above it proves you're stronger than your circumstances. The rent is still due, and action is the only currency accepted. Stop waiting for conditions to improve. Create the conditions you need by showing up and refusing to quit. Life doesn't stop for your excuses. The rent doesn't pause for your struggles. Progress doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Success demands effort, resilience, and determination. Your bad genetics story might be real, but it's not the end of the story. Every effort you make writes a new chapter. The only way to lose is to stop trying. Refuse to let excuses decide your future. Let action lead the way. No one's asking how easy your journey was. They're asking if you made it. Your bad genetics excuse won't pay the rent, it won't bring you success, and it won't change your life. Only effort can do that. Every day you choose to rise above your challenges is another day closer to proving that resilience wins. Stop holding yourself back. The time to act is now, and the only way is forward. Your challenges might be tougher, but the tools for success are the same: effort, discipline, and persistence. Bad genetics won't stop you unless you let it. Excuses keep you stuck, while effort creates momentum. No one is immune to struggle, but everyone has the power to choose how they respond to it. Take ownership of your journey and show yourself that progress is always possible. Success doesn't come with guarantees, but excuses come with regret. Your bad genetics might explain the difficulty, but they're not a reason to quit. The rent is still due, and action is the only way forward. While others waste time blaming circumstances, winners adapt and move ahead. Don't let excuses define your story. Start proving that your determination is stronger than your limitations. Your circumstances may feel overwhelming, but they don't have the final say. Your choices do. Bad genetics might set the stage, but effort is what writes the story. Every successful person has faced challenges, but they refuse to let those challenges define them. You have the same power. Start building, start climbing, and start proving to yourself that excuses will never be stronger than persistence. Excuses are easy, but effort creates results. Your bad genetics excuse might feel justified, but it's stealing your potential. Success demands action. no matter how unfair the circumstances might seem. Every moment you spend blaming genetics is a moment lost. Redirect your energy toward growth instead. The rent won't wait and the clock is ticking. Stop making excuses and start making moves. You can't control where you start, but you can control where you go. Genetics might shape the challenge, but your mindset shapes the outcome. Every step you take proves that effort can overcome almost any obstacle. Complaining won't change the difficulty. It only wastes time. The rent is still due, and success depends on whether you're willing to rise above excuses and commit to the grind. Blaming genetics keeps you stuck in the comfort zone of inaction. Success isn't found there. It's found in the struggle, the climb, and the effort to rise above what's holding you back. Your challenges might feel insurmountable, but resilience and persistence can change the story. Rent won't pay itself, and excuses won't open doors. Only action can move you forward. Start today. Bad genetics doesn't determine your destiny. It's your mindset, your grit, and your refusal to quit that make the difference. While others complain about their disadvantages, someone is out there grinding through worse. Success doesn't ask about excuses. It rewards effort. The rent is still due. The challenges are real. But your strength to overcome is greater than you think. Push forward. Every step forward is proof that excuses don't define your future. Your effort does. While the struggle might be real, the opportunity to rise above it is even stronger. Bad genetics might influence the path, but they don't decide the destination. Commit to the work, embrace the struggle, and prove to yourself that resilience and persistence are the ultimate tools for success. Complaining about bad genetics won't change the rent due date, but choosing effort over excuses will change your direction. The strongest people succeed not because life was easy, but because they refused to let obstacles stop them. You can waste time pointing fingers at challenges, or you can focus on what you can change. Progress begins with a single step forward. Take it. Excuses rob you of momentum. Your bad genetics might make things harder, but they don't erase your ability to rise above it. The rent doesn't stop for your complaints, and success doesn't wait for better conditions. Start where you are, use what you have, and prove to yourself that effort is greater than excuses. Every moment counts. Start building the future you deserve today. Your story is still being written. Bad genetics might explain the difficulty, but they don't dictate the ending. Every day you have the opportunity to push forward, rewrite your narrative, and build the life you want. Complaining won't shape your future. Only action can do that. The rent is still due, the grind doesn't stop, and your resilience is the key to changing everything. Progress doesn't require perfect conditions, just relentless effort. Your bad genetics excuse won't bring success, but your discipline will. Every step forward is a victory over limitations. Every choice to act proves that excuses are powerless in the face of determination. The challenges are real, but so is your ability to overcome them. The rent is due and your grind begins now. Your excuses don't pay the bills, and neither does self-pity. Bad genetics might make the climb harder, but every step forward proves you're capable of overcoming. The rent is still due, and your goals won't wait for easier conditions. Success is built by those who refuse to quit, no matter how unfair the path may seem. Action outlasts excuses every time. Your journey begins today. Every successful person has faced obstacles, some visible, some hidden. The difference between winners and complainers is their response to those obstacles. You can spend your time blaming bad genetics or take control of your effort, your discipline, and your mindset. Rent doesn't pause for your complaints, and progress doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Start building your success today. Your story is still being written. Genetics might explain the difficulty, but they don't decide the outcome. Every step forward, no matter how small, is proof that effort outweighs excuses. Complaining about challenges keeps you stuck, but resilience builds progress. The rent is still due, and success depends on action, not the narrative you've been telling yourself. Rewrite your story now. Excuses feel comforting, but they're a trap. Your bad genetics story might justify your struggles, but it won't move you forward. Progress only begins when you take responsibility for your journey and let go of blame. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. The rent is still due, and every moment spent complaining steals time from the work needed to succeed. Choose effort over excuses. Greatness isn't built in perfect conditions. It's forged through adversity. Your bad genetics excuse might feel valid, but it's holding you back. Every step forward is a chance to prove to yourself that you're stronger than your circumstances. Success isn't waiting for you to feel ready. It's waiting for you to act. The rent won't pay itself, and excuses won't earn results. Push forward. Your challenges don't define you. Your choices do. Bad genetics might make the climb harder, but they don't make it impossible. Every successful person faced setbacks, but they didn't stop. They kept moving forward, proving that effort beats excuses every time. The rent doesn't wait, and neither should your goals. Stop blaming what you can't control and start owning what you can. The hardest paths lead to the strongest outcomes. Your bad genetics excuse might explain why things feel tougher, but it's not the reason to quit. Success isn't handed out. It's earned by those who refuse to give up. Rent is still due. Opportunities are still available, and your mindset is the only thing standing between you and progress. Choose determination over defeat. Excuses don't create results. They create regret. Your bad genetics story is keeping you stuck, stealing time from the effort needed to move forward. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger. Every step forward proves that your resilience is greater than your limitations. Rent won't wait, and neither should you. Progress begins when excuses stop. Start now. Your journey isn't defined by your obstacles. It's defined by your willingness to overcome them. Bad genetics might set the conditions, but your effort writes the story. Greatness doesn't care about excuses. Rent doesn't pause for complaints. Success favors those who take responsibility for their journey, no matter how hard the climb. Focus on effort, embrace the grind, and start now. Strength is built through struggle, not avoidance. Bad genetics might explain the difficulty, but they don't decide your potential. Every step forward proves that excuses are powerless in the face of resilience. Rent doesn't stop for complaints, and progress doesn't wait for ideal conditions. Commit to your journey, embrace the grind, and show yourself that effort beats excuses every time. Your bad genetics excuse might feel like a valid reason to stop, but it's holding you back from the progress you deserve. Challenges are inevitable, but they're also what makes success meaningful. Rent is still due, and the only currency accepted is effort. Stop waiting for conditions to improve. Start improving yourself. Every day you push forward is proof that excuses have no power over determination. The strongest people in the world weren't born with perfect conditions. They built their strength through adversity. Bad genetics might influence your path, but your effort determines how far you go. Every time you push past an excuse, you prove that your limits are only temporary. Rent doesn't care about your struggles, and success doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Keep climbing, no matter how steep. Every excuse you make is another day lost to inaction. Your bad genetics story might explain the difficulty, but it doesn't justify giving up. Progress is built one step at a time through discipline, grit, and perseverance. Success belongs to those who refuse to let obstacles win. Rent is still due, and your future depends on whether you're willing to step up and face your challenges head on. It's not about where you start, it's about what you do with what you have. Genetics might set the stage, but your actions write the performance. Complaining won't pay the rent or bring success. It will only keep you stuck. Every moment spent blaming your circumstances is a moment wasted. Take control of your journey. Your resilience and determination are stronger than any excuse. Excuses don't build progress. They build regret. Your bad genetics might feel like an obstacle, but it's an opportunity to grow stronger, to push harder, and to prove to yourself that you can rise above it. Rent doesn't stop for complaints, and neither does life. Every step forward is a step closer to overcoming your challenges. Commit to the work, embrace the grind, and watch your effort pay off. The rent is still due, no matter what circumstances you face. Your bad genetics excuse might make the journey harder, but it doesn't make it impossible. Action is the only path to progress. Winners don't wait for perfect conditions. They grind through the imperfect ones. Strength is built through effort, not excuses. Every day you choose progress over complaints is a day closer to success. Rent doesn't pause, opportunities don't wait, and success won't be handed to you. Your bad genetics excuse is just a story you've told yourself, and now it's time to rewrite it. Every challenge you face is shaping you into a stronger version of yourself. Take ownership of your future and commit to outworking every obstacle. Progress starts with the decision to stop making excuses and start building. Your excuses might make you feel better in the moment, but they're robbing you of the future you deserve. Bad genetics doesn't decide your destiny. It's your daily effort that shapes your path. Rent is still due, and the only way forward is through action. Success doesn't wait for fairness. It rewards those who refuse to quit, no matter how steep the climb. Keep pushing. Life doesn't care about your excuses. The rent is still due, and the challenges you face are still real. Your bad genetics might explain the difficulty, but effort explains the results. Every choice you make shapes your future. Will you let excuses hold you back, or will you take ownership of your journey? The strongest people rise by embracing their struggles and proving that resilience wins. The road might be hard, but the reward is worth it. Bad genetics might explain why you're starting further behind, but they don't decide how far you can go. Every excuse you abandon is another step closer to success. Rent won't wait, and neither should your goals. Effort, discipline, and perseverance are the tools to overcoming any limitation. Start using them today and prove to yourself that progress is always possible. Success doesn't wait for excuses. Your bad genetics might make the climb harder, but they can't stop you unless you let them. Every effort you make is proof that your resilience is stronger than your limitations. Rent is still due, and progress depends on your willingness to face challenges head-on. Complaining won't move you forward. Action will. Step into the grind and commit to growing stronger. Every excuse you make builds a wall between you and your goals. Your bad genetics story might explain the difficulty, but it doesn't decide your potential. Progress is only possible when you stop blaming circumstances and take ownership of your effort. Rent doesn't pause for complaints, and success doesn't wait for better conditions. Build momentum today by choosing resilience over excuses. Challenges shape us, not define us. Your bad genetics might create tougher conditions, but they're also an opportunity to prove what you're capable of. Rent doesn't pay itself, and success isn't handed out. It's earned through relentless effort and determination. Don't let excuses hold you back. Every step forward proves that persistence beats obstacles every time. Push through and keep climbing. Progress isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about perseverance through adversity. Your bad genetics excuse might feel valid, but it's stealing time you could spend building the life you want. Rent is still due, and success waits for no one. Every effort you make brings you closer to proving that excuses are powerless against discipline and determination. Start today and don't stop. The road ahead might be hard, but the reward is worth it. Bad genetics might explain why the path feels steeper, but they don't decide whether you reach the summit. Every step you take proves that resilience is greater than excuses. Rent doesn't pause, and success doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Push forward, even when the odds feel stacked against you, and create the future you deserve. Your story doesn't end with bad genetics. It begins with your decision to rise above them. Challenges are real, but so is your strength. Complaining won't pay the rent or move you forward. Action, persistence, and discipline will. Every day you choose effort over excuses is a step closer to proving to yourself that progress is always possible. Commit to the work and make it happen. Excuses feel comforting, but they don't lead to success. Your bad genetics excuse might explain the difficulty, but it won't change your reality. Rent is still due, and the only way forward is through action. Greatness isn't born. It's built by those who refuse to quit no matter the circumstances. Every step forward proves that effort outlasts obstacles. Start building your success today. Your limitations don't define you. Your choices do. Rent doesn't care about your excuses, and neither does progress. Bad genetics might make things harder, but they can't stop you unless you let them. Strength is built through resilience and determination. Every step forward is proof that you're capable of more than you think. Start climbing today and show yourself what's possible. The strongest people aren't the ones who had the easiest paths. They're the ones who refuse to quit. Your bad genetics excuse might feel valid, but it's holding you back from your potential. Progress begins when you take responsibility for your journey. and stop making excuses. Rent is still due, and success requires effort. Commit to the grind and prove that resilience is your greatest asset. Your journey isn't about how easy it is. It's about how determined you are to keep going. Rent doesn't pause, and success doesn't wait for excuses. Bad genetics might explain the difficulty, but they don't decide your future. Every step forward is proof that persistence and discipline are stronger than obstacles. Start building the life you want today, and don't let anything hold you back.